them up. He's back again. He steps on. He's hit. He stumbles. He is throwing it deep for the end zone, and it is batted around and incomplete. And the game is over.
Righteous on the beat.
Ooh, had the back door. Oh, Simmons threw it in reverse. Oh my God! Deep to right field, way up there and way out of here. Second and one. Here's Hughes giving it across. Oh, what a save! Back there on hold.
Welcome back to the Broad Street Benchwarmers podcast, presented to you by Hungry Dog Sports Blog. And we said last time that we'd be putting up some content. We have something cooking, I swear. My Game 1 takeaways from the NBA bubble will be up by the time this comes out. So go take a look. I have some interesting stuff, some stuff building off of what I'm going to say here. And Ethan John has his baseball predictions, which, of course, the Phillies are suffering, but
yeah, that's fair.
can look back at the good old days. But
I had them in like third place, and I think they're at third, but they're still trash. They're still terrible.
but not as terrible
as the Sixers.
Team we're about to get into.
Yeah.
That's correct. I think I'm just going to start today off by getting something off my chest. I've done a lot of defending Brett Brown. I have.
Yeah, and I've always been like the anti-Brett guy, and you always like came to his defense, and I was always just I was so like confused by it. Like, what reason do you have to defend genuinely one of the worst coaches for a team of this caliber? It's like it's wild. You can go in. I don't care.
I would like to apologize to you first of all.
Okay.
First of all, because where I see it, the chemistry of this team to me seemed to revolve around Brett Brown the last 2 seasons. For me, keeping Ben and Joe together was the strength of Brett Brown. And so I always felt like that, that was a piece of that. But not the actual coaching. And so after that Celtics series, I gave Brett Brown a chance. That Celtics series 2 years ago. I said, you know what, Brett, it was your first playoff run. It's okay. Get it done next year.
Yeah. After
Jimmy Butler left, I defended Brett Brown. I said, you know what? Jimmy Butler's a jerk for leaving this team. We need to see what we can do with these guys. Brett Brown, you deserve to be here. After last night, in which the Philadelphia 76ers found themselves ducking under screens against all-star Jason Tatum, all-star Kemba Walker, and all-star Jaylen Brown, I am done with defending Brett Brown. I cannot stand for this. This is a team with so much talent and so much potential, and you cannot make adjustments and let your defensive scheme in the way of that. It's unbearable. And this comes from the top. This comes from the top. This comes from Josh Harris not recognizing that. This comes from Elton Brand not recognizing that. It's unbearable. And I hate that I sound like 94 WIP Sports Radio right now. I hate it. But I can't stand it. And I can't stand for it. So, Ethan John, I would like you to go into your take now.
I'm very proud of you. You're finally waking up to the 76ers. Well, I'm going to take a much more defeated approach. I'm not going to be yelling. I don't think so. I'm not really in the mood for that. They don't deserve my energy. But I'll just say this. I said it at least a year ago. Brett Brown, he has no place on this team.
Exactly.
He was hired 5-6 years ago to develop young talent and just lose games, win the lottery, maybe get some good players and go from there. And then as time would be done, they would get a elite coach and then actually compete. But because like our main players like Joel and I guess Ben have like some really stupid attachment to Brett Brown that they're like they don't want to fire him because then that would affect the management relationship with their star players. But like regardless of how it'll affect the chemistry is already terrible to begin with. So he is just so bad. His job he was hired to lose games, and now he's doing that pretty well right now, you know.
Exactly.
But,
I mean, what? How do you play Raul Neto?
Yeah, over
17,
Alec Burks.
8 minutes in a playoff game with a -17 plus minus. Yeah. Do you not look at numbers? Do you not watch him play basketball? He is not good at basketball.
Yeah.
And then we get into Tobias Harris and Al Horford.
And yeah, that's fair. Tobias Harris, we've been defending him lately because he's been a bright spot on the offense, and now he's playoff Tobias like last year. Every open shot that he gets, it's either a brick or like the basketball gods let it go in. But
and here's my thing. Brett Brown is still running plays for him in game 1.
Yeah.
When he's shooting like 5 of 14 from the field.
Yeah.
Get the ball in Joel's hands. And then when you do get the ball in Joel's hands, let him run plays.
Yeah. And you don't have to be like a pro basketball analyst to realize that when Joel Embiid has the ball, those undersized centers, he can get to the basket himself, or he can just create he can be a distraction. He can be like a sort of screen, he'll like a smoke screen for other players to get him open. But instead, let's just like have him shoot like a mid range or he gets a block and then he like falls on the ground and then he gets back up when they're already on the other side. So then they just kick it to him and just has a pull up 3 that just obviously bricks, and then it's just a waste of a possession. It's just like a heat check. Like 10 times a game.
Like, where's the maturity from Joel as well? I've loved what Joel has done in this series, to be honest with you. I was very critical of what Joel did in the bubble, just because I didn't think he was being aggressive enough. I really didn't. I thought, like Charles Barkley said, he was settling for those mid-range shots and for those top-of-the-key threes that we know aren't going to go in. When they brought the statistic up last night, when Joel Embiid shoots 4 or more 3-pointers, the Philadelphia 76ers are 8-14. When he shoots less than 2, they are 22-7. Come on.
God. Yeah. I remember him bringing that up, and I'm just like, they're just like trying to make us feel even worse about this team at this point.
Come on, Stan Van.
I guess we'll go after everybody now. As much as we love him as a player, Matisse Thybulle just looks lost in this series. It's such sad to see, but I know plus minus isn't like a really indicative metric for how a player performs, but he was -30 last night with 2 points on 2 shot attempts in 25 minminutes. With 3 fouls. He had more fouls than points.
And
he's a rookie. I'll give him that, but you can't allow Jason Tatum to have 8 threes in your mid the whole game. That's just and probably the most infuriating one was like when the shot clock was ending and he basically pulled up from the logo and he just like banked it in. I'm not gonna say it's like ball don't lie. It was just And I know whatever one of the commentators said, he probably could have played better defense, but like, I mean, I guess
He
that's
gave up on
true.
the play because he
Yeah.
thought it was over.
And
Look,
that is a very Sixers thing. They just give
hey,
up.
we know
And
Matisse isn't going to be the number one scorer.
yeah, of course.
We know he's not going to be a scoring threat even per se.
But like
But
take more than 2 shots,
exactly,
and maybe you can like get your game going.
he needs to
Like
be aggressive. He needs to be
yeah,
aggressive.
this might be on the blog at some point. I don't know, but we made like award predictions, and I wanted to put Matisse
Yep.
on I think the rookie team, and I looked at
Uh-huh.
his stats, and he averages like 4.5 points a game.
Exactly. And this
Like
is something that takes an off season of developing from a
yeah,
coach and an organization that is capable of doing so.
yeah,
In which I don't think this one is. I don't.
Yeah. I mean. He's a decent enough shooter where if he's open, just give it to him, and if he feels like he can take it, he'd be a above average shooter. He's not going to be like Klay Thompson or Steph Curry or Damian Lillard, but like he's good
Exactly.
enough. Like you need a shooter on this team because we're surrounded by so many like inconsistent or just trash shooters. So
Exactly. The spacing we knew was
yeah,
going to be awful. But we expected a defensive team to make up for it as well. And that leads
yeah.
me into my next point. They were horrible on defense last night. They were horrific.
Yeah, I remember. I think it might have been Cantor or Tice, but Joel Embiid
Yep.
gave him like 20 feet of space and just let him make a three.
Exactly.
And whenever someone's in the paint, Joel Embiid just lets him go in. He doesn't want to get a foul. He doesn't even
Yeah.
attempt to
He's just
contest
staying
the
there.
ball.
He was only caring about his offensive stats last night.
Yeah,
Really. And that's why Tyson Cantor dominated him. Look, we know you're going to have to be the lead man.
Yeah.
We know you're going to have to be that. We know you have to carry that weight. We know you're going to be tired from that. But you still need to be able to dominate on both ends. And if you can't do that, then get out of the game and let Al Horford play, as awful as it sounds.
Oh my god.
And Al Horford, I mean, throughout this series has been awful on the offensive end. But you can make an argument he's been fine on the defensive end. I think they're disguising him a lot in the coverage because he's usually on Tatum. I think they're disguising him a lot by putting Matisse on Tatum. But I've been fine with Al Horford. I have.
Yeah, I don't really have an opinion because it's just he's kind of just a body. Everybody's just. But I mean, you it's inexcusable to be up by like 10 in the first quarter and then lose by almost 30.
Exactly. The momentum swing happened so fast that within the second quarter, I knew we were going to lose this game. But I did not expect this team to give up and not fight in the way they did.
Yeah.
I didn't expect them to wilt in the way they did. And that just shows the maturity. This team does not deserve to be where they are right now. This team does not deserve the hype the media gave them. Even coming into this series, I saw people who were taking the Sixers in 6. I did.
Yeah, I said Sixers would win at most 2 games, and I think that's a pipe dream at this point.
Exactly. I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't win a game.
Yeah, I wouldn't even mind it because it's what they deserve. It's a good wake up call for both the players and the staff because if you can't win if you can't get past the even the first round with this team, I mean you can say Ben Simmons makes that much of a difference, but like really in the bubble he's been a non-factor. But
look, Ben Simmons speeds up the pace of this offense for sure.
Yeah.
Ben Simmons is a lockdown defender for sure. Yeah. But Ben Simmons is not guarding 3 people at a time.
Yeah. And he's not giving up 35 points to Tatum a night.
That is true.
And
we are discovering problems with the bench.
Well, that has been a problem for forever.
But it's exposing problems with our $200 million man, Tobias Harris. It's exposing problems with Al Horford. Like, these are problems that would be there even if Ben Simmons wasn't playing. It's not
Yeah.
it's not a Steph Curry situation in which you take Steph Curry out of the Warriors and, everybody performs to the same level. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like last year. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. When
I
you're
want to
second,
enjoy basketball again.
yeah, that's why we're looking forward to the lottery and like the Lakers series and the Bucks series, and I guess
Exactly.
the Nugget series has actually been nice, but we'll talk
It
about that
has.
later. But when your second half points are 44 to 63, you're doing something wrong. If you
Yup.
have 18 points in a quarter in this pace of the NBA,
You're doing something.
yeah, you need to make some changes. It can be up top with Elton Brand. I wouldn't even mind that, but
I'm
Brett
beyond
Brown's
now.
got to go.
I would love that. I would love both of those moves, to be honest. I
Yeah.
mean, like we talked about last week, I don't know who could replace Brett
Yeah.
Brown,
we
but
don't know.
this scheme and this hard-headedness that Brett Brown has showed in these playoffs just needs to go. It just does.
Yeah, I think Kenny Atkinson would be perfect, but I think he's headed
So,
to Chicago or
yeah.
New Orleans wouldn't even be bad for him. But
And honestly, if I'm Kenny Atkinson, I would
mean,
much rather go to Chicago
yeah,
than come here. Much rather. Because look, the
yeah,
Bulls are in a bad situation,
and they're younger.
but they're younger. That city is a franchise of, great history. You look at our franchise, it's basically cursed. We ruined Allen Iverson and we ruined Wilt Chamberlain. Like,
When I'm pretty, yeah, I know it said we've met. I know at the beginning of the series, they said we've met 21 times with the Celtics in the playoffs.
Yep.
The last time we beat them was in 1982.
Yep.
And
After day.
that's a year before we won the championship with Moses Malone and Julius Erving. So
Yep.
that is almost 40 years of not beating the Celtics in the playoffs.
Yep.
And the Celtics, I mean, they were obviously good in the 80s, but in the 90s, I mean, we weren't great, but in the 90s, they were non-existent. Their best player was like Antoine Walker. Like,
Yep.
what's wrong with you? The 2000s, that they should have beat him for sure. But I mean, at that point with like the Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett teams, we were done. Allen Iverson was gone. Andre Iguodala was our best player. I mean, he's obviously probably the best player we've had, since. You can make the argument for like Embiid, but he's still one of the better players we've had in recent memory.
Yep.
But
it's just
it is a one-sided rivalry.
It is. And to quote Joel, I mean, it's sad. It feels like a funeral. It really does.
Yeah.
That's what we're gonna call this. That's what we're gonna call this episode. The funeral for the Sixers.
Well, we're gonna go into stuff that like doesn't really affect us.
Yep.
Both the 8 seeds won game ones. The Orlando Magic, which is surprising because I thought the Bucks would sweep them. And I mean, I'm not particularly surprised by Portland because I thought they would give them a shot, but it's kind of concerning for both those teams because that's my finals matchup. So
I know you're making me feel good about myself. Besides that, Clippers loss last night.
Yeah, the Clippers. But I watched some of that Bucks game, and all I saw was the Bucks scoring like Bleacher Report, and then I just went to the game and like, my God.
Yo.
Like Chris Middleton, I'm
awful.
sorry, Jesus. I don't even mind you as a player. Like I think he's like fine, he's a fine number 2 to be honest. But how is that possible to be like an elite player and get clamped by a team that doesn't have Aaron Gordon or Jonathan Isaac?
Exactly.
And Like who is clamping you up? Like Terrence Ross,
Evan
and
Fournier,
yeah, Evan
Terrence Ross,
Fournier, like
yeah.
Wesley Iwundu.
God.
Jesus, and Brooke Lopez. I had him as an all defensive player, like, and maybe first
Me
team. I'm not
too.
sure. And he got absolutely smoked by Vucevic. He had like 35.
Exactly. It's
You
just
if you want to compete for a title, you need all of your guys to step up. If and honestly, as much as I want Giannis to stay in Milwaukee and like stay loyal, if they don't if in the next 2 years they don't get to the finals, he has every right to leave.
yep.
Because he was just brought on a plane from Greece, like, yo, you're on the Bucks now. He's like, okay.
Yeah. I mean,
And then
look.
he has carried this team for so many years. And I mean, you have good enough role players around you, but if he wants to compete for a championship with a better team, he has every right to, because
Yeah. Because they're bad.
yeah,
Outside of
because
him.
yeah, you have one of the better coaches in the league, Mike Budenholzer. You have a top 20, 25 player with Chris Middleton. You have an elite defensive center with Brooke Lopez. You have some decent shooters around you, like Dante and George Hill. He's like a 40%
All NBA
shooter, I think.
defender
And
in
like Wesley
Eric
Matthews
Bledsoe.
off the bench. Yeah.
All NBA, yeah.
And I'm not gonna say that the Magic are gonna beat them, but
No.
if this is a sign of how they're gonna perform in this bubble and in the playoffs, then I can't honestly can't see them getting past Toronto or even like Boston. Like, Jesus,
Yep.
this is it's crazy. And the Lakers,
I'm
I'll give a pass to the Lakers, because I think the
really.
Blazers are well, for now. I think the Blazers are an infinitely better team than the Magic. And
I mean, look. I think I'm not gonna give a pass to the Lakers just
yeah,
because
I
I told
I,
you
I
before
yeah,
this. LeBron James was not aggressive at all. I don't know
yeah.
what's happened in this bubble. I don't know. He said there was something going on inside the team or something is up with him. But this Laker team needs All-Star
They're not a
2018
very
Cleveland
good
Cavalier
team.
LeBron.
Yeah,
Exactly.
they
And
need
so,
playoff LeBron, and he's just not
yeah.
doing it.
If he's not going to be
Yeah,
aggressive and he's instead going to be just going for assists and kicking it to Danny Green and Contavious Caldwell Pope, both of which are, average role players who performed awfully last night. Like, I don't, I mean, I think they win this series,
yeah.
but I
They'll
don't know if
barely
they can
get it
get
at the
past
end.
Houston.
Oh wow.
I think if they play like this, I don't know if they can get past Houston.
Well,
Because
yeah.
I like how Russell Westbrook has played, and
Beasley. I mean, he's hurt, right?
it's scary. He's hurt
Isn't he?
right now across the bubble.
All right. Well, yeah.
And so, yeah.
We'll talk about it in a second, but that Rockets team is really actually impressing me, and we'll get to that in a second. But
Yeah.
we'll move on to another Western Conference matchup: Clippers and Mavs. I thought this would be a pretty easy series to the Clips, even though Luka is. I've known he's ridiculous, and I probably overrated him a little bit, but I mean, he's proven himself. I thought it would be
Yes.
Clippers in like 6 or 5, but Mavs took game 2. Luka is ridiculous. He's the future of the
28
NBA.
and 8. 28
Yeah.
and 8. I
And
mean,
the
Luka
Clippers. Oh, you can
is
talk about Luka.
okay.
Sure. We can keep talking about it.
Luka, you're gonna get the turnovers.
Yeah.
You're gonna get, some bad shots. But overall, to me, I think if you're gonna look at it right now, Luka Doncic versus, Giannis Antetokounmpo is the future of this league.
Yeah.
And, these are the two superstars in which, we're saying right now LeBron and Kawhi. 2 years from now, that's exactly what it's going to be. So for him to step up in this playoff series is definitely huge for me. But go on about the Clippers.
Yeah, the Clippers, I know I said I preferred the Lakers in our prediction episode, but
Yep.
yeah, looking at it now, I honestly wouldn't even be surprised if they make it over them, because they're so much more well-rounded. It's insane. their depth is something that a championship team needs, and that's something that they're the opposite of the Lakers.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
as elite as LeBron and Anthony Davis are, I think when you have mediocre players at best coming off the bench and mediocre players at best starting for you, then how are you gonna win it for Kobe? Like I know I said they're gonna go
Yep.
all the way, but if their performance in game one is indicative of how they're gonna play in the playoffs, then I wouldn't be surprised if the little brother to the Lakers finally like proves themselves, because I think Kawhi, top 5 player. I mean,
Yep.
Paul George, I liked him in like the bubble and like some of the early scrimmage games. Like he looked great, but
I mean, watching Paul George last night was terrifying for me, to be honest. It's playoff Paul George. I know there's a lot of there's a lot of hate and a lot of stuff that goes on. But honestly, I think it's well deserved, because we're talking about a guy who talks all this, who we talk about as a top 10 player, who's absolutely explosive in the regular season. And then you get to this playoffs, and he didn't even score in the first half. He had 0 in the first half. He finished with 14 and 10, which is kind of embarrassing still. Kawhi Leonard came to the Los Angeles Clippers because he needed help. And so Paul George is going to need to step up and give it to him, because, I mean, what else? Is Lou Williams going to come in and provide that scoring presence? Like, if they're going to beat the Lakers and take down the Lakers, it's going to need to be their guard play and their ability to shoot the lights out.
Yeah.
And I think if Paul George is not up to full health or his full game energy, then I don't know.
I'll just let the season run its course, because we'll probably eat our words in a second, because
I know.
let's say LeBron's gonna drop like 57 tonight, and then
Somebody's
it'll
gonna
be,
keep the timestamps and come at me.
yeah. I mean, we haven't really. Oh, the only thing we've cursed is saying that the only way the Sixers are going far is if Ben Simmons is healthy. But
Yep.
other than that, we've had mildly lukewarm takes. So
Exactly.
we're going to the games that I actually watched, sort of. So
Yep.
the other games, the Nuggets and the Jazz series, this has been great. I will admit. Okay, this is very strange, but game 2, like right before I just made the thumbnail for this episode just so I could get out of the way. And he's like, and Adam told me, like, you should get a Jokic one ready because they're going to blow him out. And, like, I'm just going to put Donovan Mitchell on it because I know they're going to win. They won by, like, 30. So we know, okay, I guess we haven't recorded when Donovan Mitchell dropped 57 and lost, but
Nope.
he's proven himself as an elite player.
I agree.
Top 5 shooting guard, probably.
And I told you during the game, I think he would be a better fit for the Sixers than Ben Simmons. I do. I know that's a bit of a hot take.
Yeah, it's a little spicy.
Shooting and the defense he gives that team is something I admire. And if we're gonna do this crazy thing with all the Ben Simmons trade offers, we might as well throw some slightly reasonable.
Give us Jordan Clarkson and Donovan Mitchell.
Exactly.
That'd be perfect.
Yeah, that would be. I would totally accept that.
And let's see. The Nuggets, I mean, they've looked fine. I think this is a really even series, to be honest, because, I mean, okay, one thing I will have to say is Jokic does not look great.
No, and Michael Porter.
He has been clamped up by Rudy Gobert. Yeah. All of his shot attempts on the block have just looked disgusting. Like,
yeah.
I
think that's what that matchup's going to present.
Yeah, it looks
Rudy
like
Gobert is an all-defensive team center. Like,
it looks like holding the shot meter like way longer than you should have in 2K.
Oh God!
But I mean, there have been some bright spots, I guess. Jamal Murray has been good in both those games, and I mean the bench has been all right. But I expected this series to be over a lot earlier. I said like Nuggets in 6, but it could be a 7-game series. I think both teams match up really well, even without Bogdanovich for the Jazz. But anyways, yeah.
I'm looking for Michael Porter Jr. to step up.
Yeah.
I think that's my only big thing. I think, we all hail this guy as the next Kevin Durant and all that, but, with his defensive instincts not being there yet, which I discussed in the article.
Yeah.
But, offensively, they need him to step up. And so if he is going to be, shooting not great from 3 or from the field, I can see Utah taking this series just because of, the defensive flexibility that they have.
Yeah. Well, have you seen the Pacers series? I mean, I know game 2 is going on as we record this, but
we watched the first game together, remember?
I guess we
them all
did,
together.
but I was working on like some other stuff at the same time, but this is another fun series. I think
Yeah.
this TJ Warren, Jimmy Butler like rivalries. I don't know if it's gonna last, but it's something that we should savor while we have it. And I'm not gonna say Miami's gonna beat Milwaukee, but they're looking good.
They're looking better. They're
Yeah.
looking better. I'll say that.
And
I'm just looking for Indiana. They lost Oladipo in that first game.
yeah, and they
How
don't
do
have
they
the bonus.
respond?
So
Exactly. How do
it
they
is
respond and get Oladipo ingrained? I'm looking to see when they're fully healthy how they perform.
yeah. If they're at full strength, this would be a much closer series. But I think Miami is just a really good team. Even though it hurts me inside the Jimmy Butler ditch just for them, they're such a fun team to watch. It
was a good career choice.
Yeah, it was a much better choice if you see how the season panned out. But
yeah,
there isn't like a total hole in that team. I think their bench is good. I think their shooting is just great with like Duncan Robinson, Tyler Hero, and I guess you can argue like Dragic and Jimmy, but like they have those sharpshooters that a playoff team needs.
Yeah.
Sixers. We're talking to you, but shooting this is a shooter's league, and they have the pieces to fit in this sort of zeitgeist, I guess, and they could take the Bucks to 7 if they get out of the series, but yeah, I just can't see Indiana getting out of this without Sabonis, and I guess without Oladipo. But
I think I'm a little higher on them than you are.
Yeah, I mean, TJ Warren's been on a tear. I really like Malcolm Brogdon. I don't know why, but
and I like how Oladipo has played this bubble. To be honest, he's not going to be the same superstar Oladipo, but I think he's been almost a number 2 option and very solid in that. So I think if he can continue to step up, I think they can definitely, if not win this series, definitely take it to Indiana. And I think because they're such a small market team and not many people have watched them, a lot of people are making this so that Miami, they think it's going to be not close. But I sincerely disagree with that. I think this is definitely a great series.
Yeah. So Rockets Thunder. Oh my God.
Yup.
We both said Thunder in 7, which I think is fair enough.
It feels so bad. I thought it was fair, but
how?
I know.
Losing by like 30? I thought it would be a close enough series.
Exactly. I mean, they had Dort out. I think Dort is the X factor for this series with his ability on defense to just, pester people, especially Harden. But still, they didn't even have Russ.
Jesus, how?
Yeah.
It's so sad.
Exactly.
Okay.
I think it's sad for me that I think this Thunder team, if they don't win this series, is going to force into a rebuild.
Yeah.
Gallinari's probably not coming back. Chris Paul, although I don't think he's going to be on the trade block, could be on like this year, could be on the trade block in the near future.
Mhm.
And I just want to see how this Thunder team works out because I think if Shai Gilgeous-Alexander can take a step into the superstar realm, like I think he will at some point in his career, I mean, that's an even more fun team. And they were super fun in the regular season. So it just sucks. And this might be overreacting because like these are all game ones.
Yeah.
I mean, but
Like I don't think
it's tough.
I don't think we should freak out over the Bucks losing one game to the Magic.
No. Or the
but it
Lakers.
is, yeah. It's a fair enough wake up call that we should
Exactly.
address it.
Exactly.
And Nets Raptors. Wow, what a great series! Wow.
See,
Yeah,
Toronto looks like a championship
the
contender.
legend of TLC has
I
revived
know.
in Brooklyn. But
And we're talking about Sixers legends. I know we talked
Yeah.
about Pacers a couple minutes ago, but Jakar Sampson.
oh wow, yeah,
Killed it.
forgot to talk about
Jakar
Jakar
Sampson.
Sampson.
Exactly. But yeah, Toronto's gonna sweep them. I mean, let's be real. They had a nice run.
They're
Uh,
done.
Yeah, they just lost Joe
garbage team.
Harris. Yeah, they're enjoy Kevin Durant. That's all I'll say.
Oh, this is like, God, I'm just looking. Okay, we have like a doc where we like keep all these headlines, and it starts with Philadelphia misery and it ends with Philadelphia misery. So
That's how it should be. That's how it's meant to be.
yeah, that's how it has been forever. But
Yep.
the Eagles, well, the general Philadelphia medical staff. I've said this like 1,000 times. How? Like,
I know.
Javon Hargrave, our big free agent signing, hurt. I don't want to say the future of the D line, but a young, good enough defensive lineman, Derek Barnett, done. Not done, but he's hurt. And the golden goat, the future of this offense, Miles Sanders, he's week to week.
Exactly. So he might not even be able to start week 1. That's the scary part.
Yeah.
The Washington football team is going to take it to us.
Wow. And I mean, this will go into a broader thing about the Eagles, but yeah, I guess I'll just go into it now. I have never been a fan of the running back by committee because it will stunt Miles Sanders' development. He 1,000% could be the next LaShawn McCoy, but instead let's give carries to Corey Clement and the legend Boston Scott instead. But
yeah,
if he's elite,
that's just the way the NFL is going now. Like,
I mean,
this West Coast offense and these rotations are Doug Peterson. After we won that Super Bowl, everybody has been copying that.
Yeah,
and so I don't think there are many true lead backs in the NFL anymore. Like besides, you think McCaffrey,
like
Saquon,
Zeke, I guess.
Yeah, but even Zeke has to share carries with Tony Pollard, a decent amount.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just crazy.
It worked in the Super Bowl run because there wasn't a true number one.
Yup.
You had Garrett Blunt, you had Corey Clement, you had Jay Ajayi. But this team, Miles Sanders is 1,000% the best running back on this team since Jordan Howard left for Miami. So
exactly.
We
have to see if Boston Scott's a fluke. And I think Corey Clement might have been a fluke, to be honest, with the way he's performed the past 2 seasons.
Yeah,
he had 3 yards per carry the past 2 years, even when he wasn't hurt. So it's just frustrating. I agree with you.
Yeah, we should be having a big bulk of the carries because
we should.
I know I'm not going to say we invested a second round pick in him because we also invested a second round pick in a J.J. Arcega-Whiteside and Jalen Hurts, but,
and Sidney Jones.
And I don't want to say we got Matt Collins in the second round, but I think we did.
No, the 6th round.
Yeah. Okay, thank God. Okay. But Eagles football is not looking great.
Exactly.
To be honest, it is a revolving door of injuries.
Yep.
And I think Brandon Brooks, that injury is just, I don't want to say that made me lose hope in this team, but when you lose your best lineman in a division that's so heavily invested in like the defensive line, it's really scary.
Exactly.
And we have the
38-year-old Jason
yeah
Peters.
I said this about Al Horford, but the Jurassic knees of Jason Peters will not take
Oh God.
Deron Payne or Dexter Lawrence or Leonard Williams.
Oh God.
And
It's
honestly, Andre Dillard, I'm not sold on him. I'll be honest.
no. I was sold after we drafted him. I thought
Yeah.
he was a great
Yeah, I
prospect, but
thought he was a good enough pick, but in the games that he's played, he's looked totally
yeah.
lost.
I
And
think there's an overreaction that
yeah,
comes with
yeah,
him looking totally lost. Look, he
yeah,
played 2 games. He hasn't fit in this offense yet, but still, I mean, we're talking about a guy who we drafted and traded picks for. Like, you
yeah.
have to be slightly worried.
And I guess, oh my God, is he gonna have to face Chase Young week 1?
Yes, sir. Who's looking?
Well,
See those
George,
training camp
yeah,
videos?
yeah, George, if you're listening, enjoy your free 5 sacks from Chase Young in week 1. But
Oh, God.
anyways, this is similar to our first bubble episode when we we're just so like empty and just defeated
Yup.
from this team. But from all
Yup.
these teams, Jesus, Phillies, Flyers are tied against the
Flyers.
8 seed.
I know.
How?
And this is the first time I've ever watched hockey. They've looked bad.
Yeah, they've
Like, I
not
don't
looked
know
good.
if I want to keep watching hockey.
Yeah, you shouldn't. But Eagles bad injuries, Sixers incompetent, Phillies incompetent, Flyers underperforming. But we're done. This is not the final episode, I assume, but
No,
we are
we
so
set up.
mentally checked out of all these teams.
We're becoming New York fans.
Yeah, we are kind of root for minor league teams and XFL teams and CFL. But we are going to be a CFL channel from now on.
Okay.
So,
Go Edmonton.
no, the Edmonton football team.
Yes.
But
All right.
thank you for
Thanks, guys.
watching. And this is a very miserable week for Philly. Goodbye.